Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm so excited for season 2 and the great guests you're going to hear from, their struggles, how they overcame their struggles, their triumphs. Through personal and business life, I think they're tied together, and we're going to share great stories about that. This show isn't just about me. It takes a lot of good people working with me. Among them is my partner, H7 Network, and Clay Hicks. Building relationships, building community is the mission of H7 Network. They want to create a network of champions where everybody wins. Find out more at h7network.com. And we hope to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you through our show. Enjoy the show. We'll talk to you on the other side. Welcome, everyone, to another incredible episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. And I've got a guest here that's helping many people in their business and probably personally as well with mindset and amongst other things. Hey, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Steve. I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you so much. Let's dive in. What's your background before you got into coaching?
Well, I was a career CPA, 25 plus years. I still have my license active, but I'm not practicing. And it was a really great career for me. I did a little bit of everything. When I look back on things that I've done, I tried a number of different roles, and I'm really glad that I did that because I got to experience things differently in different environments and industries, the size of companies. And I had my own business for a period of time. I think it gave me a really well-rounded, professional career. And it just did a ton for me as a person. I can't say enough about the profession. It's a little tough now because it feels like there's fewer people going into it, which is really kind of sad. And I get it. I understand why, but it is a great profession. And it was really the type of role where you're a trusted advisor, whether you're within a company or it's a tax client or whoever it might be. There was always kind of a certain level of professionalism, I think, with it. And I always appreciated that. And I think that taught me a lot about kind of how to carry myself as a professional and hold up that standard.
I bet you trust is a big thing with you and your clients.
It's huge. I mean, it's really probably paramount, really, in the relationship. Because if you don't have the trust, they can't open up to you. They can't really share what's holding them back or bothering them. You can't get to the root of the problem unless they feel comfortable with you, feel like you have their best interest, and obviously hold that all confidentially. So trust is gigantic in the whole equation.
How do you develop trust with your clients?
I think one of my greatest skills is listening, being a really good listener, and having kind of an open heart and always expecting to give. That's really my role. And that's basically why I changed my profession, because I felt like I wanted to make more of a personal impact on people, one-to-one, really reach their heart and help them. Because there's just, as you know, Steve, there's a lot of people out there that are hurting, and they might never talk about it. They might bury it. It might show up in other areas and you don't understand why. Right. And so it's really helping people, understand deeply what's bothering them. Sometimes these things have been going on for years, right, or it could be a new development you don't know. But that there's a real person in there that has a good heart, even if they may not show it or act like it. We're kind of all created equally. And so it's really helping them get out of whatever kind of hurt situation they're in or obstacle or whatever's holding them back, and helping them kind of realize that, the cap is off. You don't have to limit yourself. Just kind of relax. We can move past these difficult things and just look to a bright future. And it's all about growing as a person. There's really no limit on what you can do.
Yeah, I love that. And let's dive into the coaching. Mm-hmm. Let's go. How does your program run? Somebody comes into your program, gets started. How do you do that?
So, I meet with them. We have kind of what I call a discovery session. It's really just discovering, what they're about, their whole backstory. If it's just the basic information about their family, their work, what they've done, what they do like and don't like, but it's kind of getting in a little deeper. Like, why are we talking? What are we doing here today? What's holding you back, or what's the problem? It could be more than one thing. It could be, just one singular issue that they feel has been a problem for them. So we just sit down and talk through it. And then I let them know kind of what I do with them. So I have a 6-month program. I can work with people individually or in a group. And we basically cover lessons. I have 12 lessons. So we cover 2 lessons a month. And we go deep dive. It's not a ton of information that we cover in each lesson, like, material wise, but we go deep on concepts and then try to apply those to our lives. We have a lot of like real world exercises on how we can use those things. And it's just a real kind of time of reflection, discovery for them, kind of thinking through different things and viewing things probably totally differently than they ever have. And it's just that opening up process, that their mind is open, their heart is open to change. And, they're going to run into obstacles and they're going to get scared and all those different things. That happens. That's normal because you're changing or you're thinking about things you don't want to think about. And it's just moving past those and just helping them kind of reframe things. But I think a lot of what I've done in my own personal development is just changing my perspective, reframing things, and seeing things from a different view. I'm a big believer in coaching for coaches also, because, when you help other people, you kind of sometimes, I don't want to say carry the burden, but you hear a lot of difficult things. So it's a little bit of processing that. And for me, it's always like, how can I be a better coach to my clients? And I learned from my own coach, and so he's had, a lot more years of experience, talked to thousands of people. So it's like gleaning his knowledge, experience, insights is so important. And that's how I think I can add more to my clients.
That's a lot of value that you're giving. Now, I read that you're part of the Proctor Gallagher Institute, PGI, some people call it.
Yes.
Why did you go in that direction?
I always liked Bob Proctor. I found him probably 6-7 years ago, just stumbled upon him. And there was something about him as a person. I just thought he always gave it to you straight, and he had such a rough beginning, and he was a great example of what you could become. I mean, he was really, living the material that he taught. And I just loved how he presented things. And there's just a vast, between videos, audios, books, everything that he's done, there was so much great material out there. It just really clicked with me. I just absorbed it and it just made sense to me. It just opened my eyes. So I loved everything that he had done. So I was already a big believer in him as a person, and then just all the material that he put out. And it's just a great organization. The way they run themselves, they're very organized. They always do world-class productions, world-class materials. So I just wanted to be associated with an organization like that and feel totally confident in using their material. It has such a great reputation.
Bob Proctor has a lot of great information out there. I've seen some of his YouTubes, very practical. Let's tell the audience a success story. What's one of your favorite success stories?
Oh, that's a tough one, because I've got a couple that came to mind before I started this. So I've thought of one story, actually somebody that I knew was a warm market contact. And, sometimes you reach out to people, you never know how they're going to feel. You're just sharing your business with them and how can I help you? And I had a long-term friend that I just have known her for years and different struggles that she had. And it was really talking about some personal relationship issues that she had that really, if you look at the situation, Steve, you hear these stories of really difficult things that have happened to people. And it's just like, she had 2 really hard things where she had to make a choice between one or the other kind of family member situation. It was really hard. And so for years, she's been living with that. So it's been kind of helping her work through that and repair those relationships, because they were like the closest type of relationships you could have. And they were just really severed, really hard. And she lived with that for years. So it was kind of helping her work through those. And it's not always perfect, because some people might accept you back in and some people might not. But she was able to really come to a peace that I hadn't seen for years, because I've known her for a long time. And I saw that she was in kind of a hard place with these relationships. So it was kind of working through those, seeing them for what they were, understanding them, and coming to like a peaceful place. Because some people accepted her back in, some people didn't. Some relationships worked out, some didn't. So, that's life. Some people aren't always going to, do what you want them to do or receive you the way you want to be received for whatever reason. And maybe it's not now, maybe in the future they will. So it's kind of working through those challenges, one-to-one, person-to-person with her. So I think she just found a peaceful place, by the time we were through with the program. And we obviously stay in touch, that we're friends and stuff like that. So I feel like for me, when I saw that change in her, when I knew she was in a bad place for many years, that really meant a lot to me and her as well.
Yeah, and that's why you keep relationships. When you help somebody like that, you're bonded forever.
Yes.
What kind of niches do you work with? A certain niche, certain people, certain businesses in your coaching?
I typically work with what I would call like numbers people, analytical professionals, just because that's my background. So I understand how they think, so it could be people that have accounting backgrounds like myself, or finance, engineering, people like that I think sometimes have a hard time processing things that aren't logical, that maybe are black and white, that, you don't know what to do with. So you just kind of stuff it down. And that's what I did for years. So it's kind of helping people work through those things that they've had for a long time and just never processed this all those years. And I understand like their thought processes. So I think that's what really helps me work with that market the best.
What gives you motivation to do your coaching?
That's actually really easy. When I see that I can help people, I mean, we call this, you obviously have a financial income, monetary income. But we have this other term, we call it psychic income, if you've ever heard it. So it's that good feeling. You know what that is, Steve, that really good feeling when you really helped somebody and made a difference. That's priceless to me. So that's really what drives me every single day, is making that difference for that person in whatever area of their life is. So for me, that's why I get out of bed, that I'm excited, to do what I have to do. Even there's certain things, obviously, I don't always want to do in my business, but it's like I know the greater good. So it's really reminding myself of that. It's just such an incredible feeling. You can't really describe it or put any kind of price tag on it.
No, and that's true. And that's a servant's heart right there. And I tell most people, start with that. Good things will come. Yeah, maybe not be financial right away, but giving the good out to the world, your universe changes.
It does. It does.
Let's do a shout out. I'm sure some people are listening and want to get a hold of you. How can they get a hold of you?
Sure. They could, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm really big on LinkedIn. It's my favorite platform. So they can find me out there on LinkedIn as a mindset coach. And they can go to my website. It's Boundless Potential Life, all one word, and reach out to me there. My contact information is there, and they can book appointments there as well.
How important is mindset in business?
It's huge. It's huge. I'm thinking about, I'm working with somebody in our network on a leadership, engagement, and culture talk, probably coming up here in the next couple of weeks. And when I think about some of the changes in the mindsets that are happening in companies these days, it's really shocking, because when I think of where it was years ago when I worked in really terrible environments and kind of how things have evolved, and it's not perfect. There's still plenty of organizations that need help. But, that mindset topic is so important. And when you think about how you work with each other, how you engage, how you lead people, if you don't have the right mindset, it's not going to go very far. You're going to lose people. It's going to affect your bottom line. You won't be able to serve your customers as well. It's really everything. It's a really comprehensive way of thinking about things and running businesses today.
And I agree with you. PGI and mindset, I learned that through a PGI coach last year. I paid for coaching. And so when I saw that, I gave me back good memories, because that's what I learned. And it's just simple changes that I made that's exploded my podcast and exploded things that I do, which allows me the abundance to give back even more and more, which I had to learn. And once I did, audience, that's the biggest thing. Abundance comes, it's allowed you to give more, and more abundance comes. So I appreciate you doing that. And it doesn't take overnight. That's why you do a 6-month program, correct?
Yes, it does. Because, you work through different topics and ideas. And I think everybody's a little different when they come in. Some people are ready to learn, and some people need to kind of warm up to it. So, if it takes that whole 6 months time, maybe it does. But, usually people within the first month or two start kind of opening up and being more receptive to everything and sharing more. So yeah, I think the 6 months feels like a good, it's like a big bulk of a year. You get through a few seasons with a person, a number of months with them. And it's that time together, kind of building that connection and working, through different things. I think you really do need the time personally.
I know the answer to this, but how are changing your habits big with mindset?
Oh, it's gigantic, because like 80% of our day is run on habits. We're kind of sort of robotic in a lot of our behavior because we've had them for years, right? All those good or bad behaviors that we have. So just like anything, if we do it repetitiously, we'll just continue to do that because that's the easiest thing for us to do. That's our mind, and our body just goes to the place of least resistance. So that's a habit that you've already formed, and you can do it very automatically. And then sometimes, as you know, some people have great habits and it really serves them. And then conversely, you have people that are loaded with bad habits and it just really hampers their life. And it's just a matter of, you got to work them, through one at a time and just replace it with something good right away.
Right.
Because some people might eliminate the habit and then they don't replace it with something good. Something bad can come in there. I'm sure you've probably heard stories about that.
Yeah.
So
I like that. And you're so right. What's the elephant phrase? Take pieces of the elephant. Don't try to eat the whole elephant at once.
Yes. That's a great analogy.
Yeah, it fits well. So I know you've read some books. Tell me give me a good book you've read that's helped you in your journey.
One that I talked about this morning, I did a webinar this morning, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. A friend of mine, Diane, had recommended that, and I loved the book because when I heard the whole upper limit problem, I had never heard it described like that. But really, people put this kind of artificial limit on themselves, and they may not even realize they're doing it. I know I didn't, but it's just like one of those things we just figure, oh, well, if I have this much good in my life, then I can't have this much good in this other area of my life. We just totally cap ourselves. It's really crazy. And I had never heard of the term, and just the whole concept made sense to me. And you just do it for whatever reason in our lives. We just limit ourselves. And I think just giving it a term and talking about it and opening our mind that we really don't need to cap ourselves. There's really no reason for it, but people just do it automatically for some reason. So I think that book, I really enjoyed that book.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out because that's so true. I mean, I tell people, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, et cetera, Mark Cuban, they started like me or you.
Absolutely.
But they had a dream to make $1 million, make $1 billion, or whatever that, that's why anybody can do it. Will they? No, of course not. We can't all be millionaires. We can't, but you can do something if you put your mind to it, and things fall into place and all that other stuff too. So I love The Big Leap. It's a great name for a book too.
Yeah, isn't it a great name? And it's really an easy read, and I thought the author was fantastic. Back to your point about talking about people that have huge success, and you look at them and you think, oh, well, that's Elon Musk, that's his story. That couldn't be me. But, it could be. He was just a regular guy at one time also. As you look at many, the inventors in the world, they were just regular people. So if people would just kind of open their mind, their imagination at what they could do, they could have, incredible success as well.
I love imagination. I think that's so big, especially in sales presentations. And dreaming is just an imagination, which takes habits and mindset to get there.
Yes.
And not to stop people, but if your goal is $1 million a year and you hit $500,000, Lisa, do you think they're going to be happy?
Well, I would say no, because if you realize, hey, I could be doing way better, you got to just kind of keep going with it. Some people, I know my coach calls it drinking their own Kool-Aid. They get to a certain level and they're just kind of like, hey, I've made it, but if you really like, hey, but I have bigger aspirations, I want to go for that bigger goal. Yeah, I don't think you'll be happy just staying where you are. I think people are as humans are meant to grow. We're just inherently, we want to expand in some ways, whether it's knowledge and the size of our home or whatever it is. We'll always want more and more and more. That's just human nature. And I think to just kind of say, oh, okay, I made it this far, I'm done. You won't be satisfied long term with that.
No, and people don't realize too, if million's your goal and you're at $500,000, that money can help you get to the goal.
Yes.
If you're making $1,000 a month, but when you get to that level, the next level is a little bit easier because it's closer to your harder work, but it's still something that you can use that 500,000 to get to the million. And that's powerful.
Yes.
Which leads to the most important. I love this question. Decision making is so hard. Do you talk about decision making?
Oh, a ton in the program. Bob loved talking about, the ability to make a decision. It's life changing. And I think a lot of people are kind of suffering a bit today because they can't make decisions, like procrastination. We talk about it in the program. It's really the inability. You haven't decided that you want to do the thing. And that's why you procrastinate on it. So I think decision making is a really powerful skill. And some people learn it early and some people don't. I just had this conversation with my husband about it. He was like a quick decision maker probably when he was younger. I was the total opposite. So I really had to learn. It's a kind of, ingrained for me to procrastinate and not decide things. And so for me, it's like I had to really put into practice, make a conscious effort to do that, make quick decisions, and then don't second guess yourself, just go.
So making the wrong decision could be better than not making any decision at all.
Absolutely. Yes, that's the worst thing you can do. Indecision is a decision, right? That you're not going to do anything.
Yes.
So that absolutely. And you can learn, you learn more from when you make mistakes, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
It's those things those failures and those mistakes that are most memorable with you. So even if you make a mistake, it's still an opportunity to learn. There's a quote out there from John Maxwell. Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And so I love that because it's positive either way. You're either going to win or you're going to learn. You can't lose. So I think it's a great perspective to have.
And it's interesting unpacking that. You don't make a decision, you don't make a mistake, you don't learn.
Yeah, that's great.
That's right? We break it out that way. You just unpacked it.
Analogy right out there. Yeah.
Hey, audience, this lady's brilliant. I first met her a few weeks ago. This is little stuff that can turn into huge stuff. This is the stuff that makes the Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Mark Cubans of the world. Why can't we be part of it too? And you help people. Can I do something crazy?
Sure.
You like crazy?
Why not?
All right, let's do it. So what I'm going to do, audience, the first two people that reach out to Lisa and mention this podcast, either my name or the name of the podcast, I'm going to send both of you a gift because I love this lady a lot. I want you to connect with her because what she's talking about, and we only had 20 minutes to talk about, is a game changer. It's changed my life. Things are happening to me that I never thought would happen in my life at 61. And I'm proud to say it. And I'm proud what you do has helped me with another coach. That's why I love what you do. And that's why I wanted you on the show and you're here.
Yeah, so pumped to be here. I'm so glad that you went through the program so you can experience the change. And it's pretty awesome, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. And I share it with people all the time. And now I get to share you. And again, audience, reach out to her. She'll do a discovery call, see if it's a fit. But at least do that because mindset's the game changer. It is about everything in life. You change your mindset in business, you could do it in your personal life. Now everything starts coming together. Thank you again, Lisa. This has been incredible. I've learned stuff and I'm sure the audience has, but can I ask one more favor?
Absolutely.
Can you leave my audience with one last piece of advice that's helped you that could help them in their journey?
Yes, I can. One of my favorite things is, and I like to do it every single day, and I know you believe in this, is leaving people with the impression of increase, which is really leaving them better off than the way you found them. Even if it's a small thing, holding the door open for somebody, picking up their keys if they drop them, whatever, anything small, little compliment every single day. First of all, you're going to feel like $1 million because you can see that you helped them, they smiled, you brightened their day. But back to what we said earlier, it does come back to you. You don't know how or when or where. You just know that it's going to come back to you. It's just kind of a universal law that we have to accept, and it's totally true. But I love doing it because I feel like I'm making a difference every day, even if it's small. I'm doing something for other people. I'm giving value back because I feel grateful for everything that I have in my life. And I feel like it's kind of my duty and honor to give back to people. So that would be my suggestion for people. If they want to live a happier, fuller life, is to do small things like helping people every single day in any way they can.